Okay, good morning, afternoon, or evening, everybody. I've got 2 p.m. Eastern Time, so we're going to go ahead and get started here. Welcome to the Learn How to View and Download Data from NASA's Level 1 and Atmosphere Archive and Distributed Active Archive Center, LAADS DAAC Earth Data Webinar. This is your host, Jennifer Brennan. It is 2 p.m., so we're going to get started here with just a few webinar logistics. To ensure the best audio experience, all participants have been placed in silent mode, but if you have any issues or you have any questions, what I'd like you to do is enter those into the Q&A panel rather than the chat, and you'll find that located on the right side of your screen. Today's webinar is being recorded. The recording will be posted to the NASA Earth Data website as well as to our NASA Earth Data YouTube channel within a week of completion. Once completed, I will send an email to all registrants that will include both the recording links and also a link to the presentation slide deck that was used during today's webinar. As far as timing is concerned, today's webinar will be 1 hour long with 45 minutes allocated to the presentation and demonstrations and an additional 15 minutes for the question and answer period. We will have 3 speakers during this afternoon's webinar. Our first speaker is Tasia Owen. She is the lead communication specialist and outreach coordinator for the LAADS DAAC. She previously worked for almost a decade as the lead communication, education, and outreach specialist for NASA's Terra mission. As a communication specialist and outreach coordinator, Tasia is able to combine both her interest in writing and in earth science to help others understand NASA's role in data collection for Earth science. She is going to begin today's webinar. Let me just pull up the agenda as well, with an introduction to the LAADS DAAC and the View Data and Find Data tools. From there, we will transition to our second speaker, Atmar Alsina. Atmar is a lead applications developer at NASA LAADS DAAC with an extensive background in geographic information systems and applied science applications. His portfolio of projects includes the development of View Data, the search and order application, the fire data distribution and visualization for the Fire Information for Resource Management System, or FIRMS, and he also supports the ozone and air quality website. He will continue today's webinar by providing a demonstration of the new View Data search and order tool at LAADS. During his tour, he will highlight the key features and functionalities of the tool, and his use case that will guide the tour is the August complex fire of 2020. From there, we will transition to our third and final speaker, Greg Aderer. He is a senior developer at the LAADS DAAC. Greg has been working as a software and systems engineer for LAADS since 2000. His work includes the development of multiple data processing tools such as subsetters, format converters, and a reprojection and mosaic tool. He implements science algorithms for the near real-time flood detection, has designed multiple DAC websites, implemented and adapted production systems, and other activities. He will continue today's webinar with a demonstration and tour of the key features and functionalities for the Find Data tool at the LAADS DAAC. Once our speakers have finished with their presentations and demonstrations, what we'll do then is we will transition to an optional final set of polling questions. I will give these questions about 5 minutes or so before transitioning to the Q&A session, but the questions will be open much longer for those of you who might like to provide feedback. From there, we will move to the Q&A period. Depending upon the volume of questions that are received, we will extend the Q&A period an additional 15 minutes from end time for those of you who may wish to stay on the line, but we do have a hard cutoff of 3:15 p.m. Just a quick note about the Q&A period. We'll try to answer all questions within the time allotted, but if we are not able to address your question during Q&A, our speakers will be able to follow up with you offline. With that, what I'd like to do next is stop sharing my screen and toss the presenter rights over to Tasia, who will kick off this afternoon's webinar. So give me just one moment here. And Tasia, you should have presenter privileges.
Excellent. Yes, it looks like I do. All right, can you all see my screen here? I'm going to move.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can, but you may need to increase your audio just a little bit.
Oh, okay. Is this better?
That sounds a little bit better. Yes, thank you.
Sorry about that. Okay. Hi, my name is Tassia Owen. I'm the Communications and Outreach Coordinator with LAADS DAAC, and I'm excited to introduce to you today our how to view and download data from LAADS DAAC, and introduce a few new tools that we have. But to start off, I probably should tell you a little bit about what LAADS DAAC stands for. And as you may have heard in the introduction, thanks for setting me up, Jennifer. It's quite a mouthful, and it definitely causes some people to trip over their words. So LAADS stands for Level 1 and Atmosphere Archive and Distribution System, and DAC is Distributed Active Archive Center. And even still, I'm tripping over it. As you can kind of see in the map there, it's located at Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland. But okay, now we have this description of what it stands for, but what does it actually do? So as you gathered from the name, we archive and distribute both level 1 data as well as atmospheric data. Our primary sources are the moderate resolution imaging spectroradiometer on board NASA's Earth observing systems, Aqua and Terra satellites, and the visible infrared imaging radiometer suite on board SUMI NPP and the NOAA's Joint Polar Satellite System, or JPSS. Additionally, LAADS DAAC distributes data from the European Space Agency's Medium Resolution Imaging Spectrometer, MARIS, onboard NVSat, and the Sea and Land Surface Temperature Radiometer and Ocean and Land Color Instrument collections on board Copernicus and Sentinel-3. LAADS DAAC is one of 12 DACs that are under Earth data. So we are just one of many that make up the different DAC system. LAADS DAAC provides 2 ways to search and download data. As you can see here on the top right, we have View Data, which is our newest tool, which was just released within the last month or so, and Find Data, which is our established tool that has been the way to find and search and download data in the past. Now, both of these products have some things in common. Yes, they both allow you to locate data and download data, but there are some very, very large differences. So View Data allows you to visually search, measure distance, measure area, save locations, view layers, and there's more that you can do with it. So it's a much more interactive tool. Whereas Find Data is great if you already know what you're kind of looking for. You can search by file name or search by product, you search by discipline. And the other big thing that's different between Find Data and View Data is that Find Data allows you to order that post-processed data. So a lot more of the subsetting and reformatting. And unfortunately, as of now, View Data does not offer that component. So because there are those differences, you may find yourself being in one of 2 camps. Either you have an idea of what you want as the data, but you're not exactly sure, so you might need to explore what some of that data might look like before actually downloading it, or you may know exactly what you need. Depending on your research or where you are within your research, or if you're writing different scripts, those might be different avenues that you might need for information. So essentially, you can locate your data by exploring it in View Data, and then actually go over to Find Data and then order that specific data if you need it in a different format. Otherwise, you can stay with View Data and download it all there as well, but it won't be able to be reprocessed in some of those post-processing operations that Find Data offers. And on that note, I would like to introduce you to Atmar Alsina, who's the lead developer, as you learned in the beginning from his intro, who's going to show you a little bit about how the new View Data system works. And he's great because he developed it. So on that note, Atmar, I am going to turn it over to you.
You give me just a second and I will toss the presenter role down there. Okay, so Atmar, you should have presenter privileges in just one moment. Thank you.
Okay, hello everybody. Just first of all, can you see my screen and can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, wonderful. So welcome everybody. My name is Atmar Olsina. I am an applications developer for LAADS DAAC, or as Stasia mentioned, Level 1, an atmosphere archive and distribution system, distributed active archive center. So today I'll be your guide showing you the newest addition to our toolkit that provides you with the ability to visualize data before you download it. And before we go, I just would like to mention that in order to download any of our data, you have to be registered with the Earth Data login. So this is an initiative with Earth Observing System Data and Information System to sort of help to customize and improve user experience, and also provide just like one login credential so you can access a lot of different data centers and use their data sets, and you don't have to each time create a new user account. So for those who haven't done it, you will need to register with them in order to proceed. If you don't know how to find this registration page, you can also always come to our website and you will find it under Profile, which will take you to Earth Data Login. So when you come to our website, you might be met with a picture that says View Data. You click on it and it will open the application. However, these pictures change, so you may want to use something in the top navigation menu under Data Discovery, where you see there is an option for Find Data, which Greg will discuss after me, and View Data, which is the application that I will be discussing. So let's begin our journey. So by starting the View Data application, you'll get this nice little map interface. As most map interfaces, you can pan, you can zoom in, you can zoom out. At the bottom, we have a timeline. Currently, it doesn't do anything because we're just showing blue marble, but it will come handy once we start adding actual data sets. And on the right-hand side is our main navigation menu for this application. It has two major tabs, Layers and Data Search. Data Search will be used for searching actual data sets, while Layers is for just viewing the imagery, but it will facilitate you with the ability to order the data that you are currently viewing. So let's start with adding a layer. This will open a new menu where we have we have four major categories: missions, level 0, level 1, atmosphere, and land. Now, since this is in a layer visualization mode, we are only showing you the products that have an associated imagery available for you. It's added for your convenience, so this way you can only view the products that actually have something that you can quickly visualize. And if you decide like, oh, I'd like to see all of the products that your DAC has, you can uncheck this option. And this will show all of the products that our data center has. And for added convenience, the products that do have imagery have this icon on the right-hand side, which will indicate how many layers are available there. And with the ability to expand, you can then make your layer selection that way. So for now, let's go back to just showing products that have only the available imagery for it. And as was mentioned, we'll try to create an example where you could use some of these analytical tools that we have introduced for a specific event, which was the August complex fire, which happened on September 15, 2020 in California. And maybe we'll be interested to learn something about the aerosols for that particular time period. So I have selected Aqua and Terra aerosols. Now, if you don't know what the product actually is, you can click on the information button, which will provide you with the quick sort of preview what the layer may look like, and some basic information what the layer is displaying, with links to additional details about what the dataset actually represents. And you can navigate through other datasets in your category. And if you like them, you can always add additional layers to your view. Also, you can learn about the product by clicking on the link, and it will provide the detailed information what the product is that you are trying to download or search for. So let's go to our map interface. And this is showing essentially what's happening today. But we want to look at California in 2000 under September the 15th. So as you can see, it was pretty bad going. So we can zoom in closer. And, you know, since there is a lot of coverage over essentially the entire US, and we don't know where we are looking at properly, we have added layers that may make it easier for you to understand where are you looking on the map. So you can select countries, regions, and roads. So as you zoom in, you start getting a better idea where the fires were happening. We also added, for your convenience, major orbit tracks. So this way, when you're looking at multiple satellites and try to decide which data set might be more suitable for you, you can use some of these to maybe guide you in your selection process. We have also added, for your convenience, dynamic backgrounds. And these are essentially like the most popular products, corrected reflectance, the true color. So let's look at that. So that's your typical cloud coverage that you would expect. And as you can see, there have been, fires are pretty bad in this area. And you can also use, for example, the false color, which is much better for identifying burn areas and fires. Also, you may not want to have any of those background layers because maybe you're just interested in aerosols. And even the blue marble can be distracting. So we added additional static backgrounds, which may make, observing your data a little bit easier. So now I can have, for example, darker background with the layers of the states, countries, and cities on top of it. And I can also play a little bit with the opacity. So maybe I don't want the data to be so bright. And I can, on top of it, add a dynamic background. So this way I have sort of a bigger composite image. So, it's imagination, what you want to do with this. And, for a moment, you can pretend you are a graphic designer and see how cool the data looks. And when you are ready, you might be able to save it as a screenshot, as a JPEG, PNG, or GIF, and share it with your friends or colleagues, or use it for your next publication. So now I'll cover some of the features that are at the bottom of the map application. And these are some of the tools that might make some basic analysis quite easy. So for example, we have a measure tool. So let's say I'm just quickly curious how far the aerosols have traveled. So I can quickly click on the map and get some ideas like, oh, from this point it went this far, and I can have multiple selections. So this way, and I can also, this one is not cooperating, but I can remove it. I can change the units to kilometers or miles. Or if I'm looking at the extent of the fires and I zoom in closer, now we have to hide this so it's a little bit clearer. I can use the area tool to draw a crude polygon around the fire extent. And it gives me a quick understanding how bad the fire is. And if I don't like it, I can clear it and move on. And again, I can convert between acres, hectares, and kilometers and miles. The next feature is select, but I'll save it for later. And then we have location. So if you have an area that you are interested in, like for example, Mendocino County, California, let's say you are keeping track of certain data sets that you regularly want to observe, you can save the location, which gets saved. The next time you open the map viewer, you can just click on it and it will quickly zoom you to that location. So if I go farther away, click on it, I'm back there. So that's another little tool for a convenience. Now, if I don't want, for example, timeline, I can hide it because that can be distracting. Or I can use the timeline to navigate between different dates. So I'm interested in, for example, previous day's data. So this way I can go and I look through any date that is available in our data set. And last, you can share it with your colleagues, copying the URL. And also we have the help added for your convenience right there. So you can learn about the data viewer, find out how to do citations and acknowledgements, provide feedback, which we would like to really hear from you, because if there are features that you're interested in, if there are more users showing interest in particular feature, that can help to prioritize our development time. And then there are frequently asked questions and tutorials so you can learn more about our site and other tools that we offer. So that essentially covers the navigation for the layers. And now we'll go to the maybe less fascinating part, which is downloading the data. Nevertheless, we try to make it more fun and hopefully easy to use. But you'll be the judge of that, and you can tell us if something is difficult. And so right now there are two products. They are sort of selected for me. And these are the aerosols for Aqua and Terra. But by default, they're disabled because we're not really sure if that's the data set you want to actually download. Because you might be using this as a proxy for another product that you may want to find data, but unfortunately there is no imagery available for it. So I can go to the Add Products and then get the same menu that I showed earlier, but with the checkbox disabled now, or unchecked. And this way, I'm seeing all of the products that our website offers. And let's say I decide I'd like to get, Terra tiles with it because I want to learn about these fires that were so bad. And maybe I'm also interested in the aerosol product too. And it also gives you ability to select between the default collection and the previous collection. We tried to simplify it in this viewer from our previous version because the number of collection was so high, it was confusing users. So hopefully this is a little bit easier. And but unfortunately, it has its limitation if you want to find very specific collection. But anyway, this menu now provides you with the summary of essentially what you're about to order. And you can also see the temporal coverage. So currently it's displaying only one day, 2020-09-14. Well, let's say we wanted the 15. But what if I want more than one day? Well, you can use the drop down and select up to 31 days. And you can select, let's say, a week. And it shows up on the timeline. And if I'm not happy with that time, I can shift it and I can go from 15 to 21st. And maybe I don't want 7 days, maybe I just want 5 days. And at last, I can select between day, night, and day-night boundary. Well, let's say I'll get them all. I click search, and my application is returning records. And then I see, oh, wait a minute, that's way too much data. I don't want this much data. And that's because application by default assumes you are looking at the entire world. So this is when the select option becomes handy. So we offer ability to select by country. So I can click on the United States and it highlights the entire US. Unfortunately, it also includes Alaska. And if I'm just interested in fires in California, this might be too much data. So I can switch to something like a polygon and just crudely outline, oh, it's over California. And this way, I can subset it to something smaller. Those that have used our find data, our older application, this might be a familiar process. We also allow multiple selections if you're interested in another region for some reason. And now if I click search, I come with much smaller data set. So I can either go individually and look at these records. So I get the data for MOD04_L2 and just view those and then uncheck the ones that I'm not interested. Or I can see them all. Since there's only 36 of them, it's not that much. And I can look, get the JSON description for them. So in case I'm writing some download scripts, so this way I can paste and copy it into my ingest process. Or I can here manually decide which files I want. And then once I'm done with the selection, I can click download selected. So what it does is this brings this nice little widget, which will allow you to automate your download. By default, it doesn't start because it can get a little annoying when it starts popping up questions for you to download data. So this way, you click on play, and now it turns into something to ready state, and now I have to log in. So that's very critical. That's why I mentioned at the beginning, you will need to have the logging account with the Earth data. And now I came back here and I can again decide that I want to restart all of these downloads. And now it should just start downloading without me having to log in again. So I'll cancel and just pause it because this is going to be irritating. And if I, for example, made a mistake, I can clear all or just delete individual data sets that I don't want. Or, I can now go take my lunch break or coffee break and let this keep downloading while I'm gone to my desktop. And when I come back, hopefully it's all done. And if not, if you come back to the application, it will remember what was the last file that it downloaded. And if you're done, we can just clear all and leave. So this is quick introduction to our new View Data application. I hope you will have fun using it as much as I had fun creating it. And if you have any questions or comments, please let us know. And I'll pass this now to Greg, who will tell you about the find data and how these tools can sort of work together and how some of the features from find data will be eventually incorporated into the View Data application. So thank you for listening.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name's Greg, and I'm sharing my screen, and here we are. All right. So first of all, let's go to the LAADS website. This should look a little bit familiar by now. To get to the find data tool, which I'm going to talk about. Again, let's go up here to the data discovery menu item, and find data is the first on the list, and it's there because that's what we originally. This is our original tool for this site. And as Atmar was saying, it helps to log in first. So I'm going to do that now. you can log in anytime you want. If you don't log in and the site needs you to log in, it will ask you to log in. So even if you forget, it won't let you. It basically won't let you forget. Anyway, I'm going to log in. Here we are back again. So when we looked at view data, there were all kinds of nice ways to select products. In the Find Data tool, we have sort of a similar categorization. So here's the level 0, level 1, atmosphere, land, land cover, and other. These are on this left pick list here. I'm going to use the same example that Atmar used. So we'll look for data that covers the August complex fire from 15th of September 2020. And there's several ways you can get to the list of products that you want. So right now, by default, it comes up with the list of all products, and you can see it is a long list. We offer over 1,000 products, I believe, right now for download. When we looked at view data, we knew that we were looking for aerosols, and so by selecting the aerosol category on the left, it narrows our choices down. And here you can see the aqua and terra atmosphere products that that Atmar had ordered. And here are a few other products. If you're interested, you can go read about them. You can go click on the eye icon, and that will take you to the product page that has a description and links to user guides and ATBDs and other information. I'm going to just click on that to show you what it looks like. Oops, sorry, I scrolled away. So this is a typical product page. You can see description. There's technical information about the product. And we also offer a graph of what data are available. For example, here you can see in September-October timeframe for Terra, we didn't process some data there for some reason. It could be that they were calibrating the satellite then or something. All right, I'm going to go back to this screen. We don't have that nice visualization that Atmar showed for the data. So let's go search for some of the same data that Atmar showed, and we'll see how to use it with this tool and also some of the additional features that you can do if you place an order with this data. So first of all, I got to select some products. You can see there's none selected so far. So I'm going to select the same products, the Mod and Mido 4 L2s. Those are the aerosol products. Again, I don't have the view data tool doesn't have that nice timeline that you saw in the the Find Data tool doesn't have that nice timeline that the View Data tool had. Instead, you can select the date that you want. You can select a range of dates, and actually you can select multiple ranges of dates. You just type the dates in and add them as you want. Or you can select single dates. I'm going to select a single date in this case. and we'll use 2020. I could also type it in here. 2020, September 15th. All right, and then the next thing, as we saw in the view data tool, you know, I don't really want the whole Earth. I'm interested in what happened with this particular event. So I will go and select an area of interest and search for files that only overlap that area of interest. And I'm going to select the Southern Canada, Northern US, because as you remember from that lovely image that we saw in view data, the aerosols basically span the continent. So I'm going to draw a box. You can see all this selection list here on the left is similar to the selection list in the view data selection tool, selection pop-up. And so I'm just going to select this area and go search for files. So the bar, this blue bar across the top, gives you an indication of the steps you follow. You saw that I first selected products, then I selected a time range. Now I selected an area of interest. And now here are the files that overlap that particular area for that day. And you'll see that I actually selected the 2 satellites, the data from Terra, that's the Mod 04, and the data from Aqua, that's the Mid 04. And this page looks similar to the page in view data that shows files. There's some differences though. View data allowed you to automate the downloads. So you could tell it download and it would just go through one by one automatically and download them for you and save them. Unfortunately, back when we wrote this interface, the technology wasn't quite as sophisticated. So this page does allow you to download the data, but you have to click on each individually. And you saw that it took a little bit of a while. We're working to speed that up a little bit. I'll just save that, get it off the screen. We also allow you to view products that have images. You can view the images associated with them. But these are not the nice images, the nice aggregated image that you saw in view data. These are the actual swath images. So this is, as the satellite runs over each orbit, every 5 minutes, you can think of it as taking a picture that's 5 minutes worth of data, or in the case of VIIRS, 6 minutes worth of data. And so these images here actually show only the data in the swath, and we don't have that nice sort of world view aggregate of the images using this tool. But nevertheless, for data sets that have images, you can view them here. You might find if you come here and haven't logged in that none of this works. So yeah, that's another reason to log in first before you use this tool. I'm just going to, since I already saw all the imagery in view data, I know that this is of interest to me, so I'm going to actually order the data. Oops. So you'll see I selected one file. I actually want all of them, and we'll see why in a minute. So a quick summary is here. You can, what do I do? Yeah, okay. Huh. So you noticed if I clicked the X here, it deselects the files in the summary bar there. And in order to get them back, if you click that X accidentally, you need to go back to the Files menu and reselect those files. The major feature in this ordering system, though, is that we allow you to do perform extra operations on these files, and we will perform the operations on our systems, and you can download the files after they've been processed by us. So we call this post-processing. So it's not part of production processing. The production files are already there, but what we will do is do the additional processing and stage them in an area where you can download them by your order ID, and we'll see that in a minute. So for this data set or this product, why would I want to do any of these operations at all? Well, let's look at the motto for L2. It's actually got a lot of data sets inside of it here. You can see this list here. This is a list of all the different data sets inside. It's about 50 data sets long. For the research I want to do, I don't care about most of them. I'm really mostly interested in this deep blue aerosol optical depth land because that's going to show me the aerosols that are that I'm interested in seeing for this fire. So I'm going to select that, and I'm also going to select it for the aqua version of the product as well. And then the other thing is that I don't know if you noticed when I went to the and looked at the image, but it was showing that most of the swath was located up in northern Canada, and only a very small piece of it actually overlapped the box that I had drawn on the map. And so what I want to do is I don't care about all that stuff about northern Canada. I just want to see the area that I had drawn a box around. So I'm going to check the apply search criteria to GeoInfo, and it's going to cut out all the data except the data that was in my box. So it's going to filter all that other data from northern Canada out. And then the other thing I want to do is I want to see all the data together in one piece. I don't want to have to, mess with 10 different files or 9 different files. You can see that there are 9 files overlapping my area of interest. I want to put all the data into one file and sort of glue it all together so it makes one continuous picture. So I'm going to select mosaicing. The other thing is that the tool that I have does not understand HDF. What is HDF? HDF is the file format that all our data sets are stored in our archive. But my tool would prefer the data to be in GeoTIFF format, so I'm going to select GeoTIFF. And then the final thing is that when you select most level 2 products, those are called swaths. They're just a picture of the Earth as the satellite sees them, but I don't want them as the satellite sees them. I want them in a lat long grid so that I can put them on a map. And actually, I'm not going to use a lat-long grid. I'm going to use a Mercator grid because my tool likes to work with Mercator. For those of you who are reprojection experts, you'll know that there's a bunch of additional parameters you can set that will determine things like the center of the projection and the scaling and how it will affect how the image gets distorted when it gets reprojected. I'm not going to enter any of that information now because I'm just going to let the system pick some defaults, and so it'll pick some defaults that are hopefully reasonable. And then once I've chosen all these operations here, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 operations that we're going to perform on the data, I'm just going to place the order. But before I do that, you can see what delivery methods we provide. Right now, we used to provide an FTP delivery, but now, given all the security requirements that NASA has, we only provide HTTP GET. So what we will do is we will stage the data in an area, as I said previously, where you can download the data from. You can also add other searches here. I'm not going to show you that in the interest of time because we're running a bit short here. But there I went and submitted the order. Processing may take between 5 minutes and 10+ days. This is sort of a generic message. Since I only selected a total of 18 files, it's not going to take 10 days to process that. It's probably going to take about 10 minutes. But nevertheless, if you ordered, say, 2,000 files, it might take a little longer to process all that data. And also, if there are a lot of other people placing orders at the same time, we take orders first come, first serve. So if there's 100 people ahead of me in line placing orders, then I might have to wait for their orders to complete before mine is ready. And I'll get an email notice when my order is ready. Click there to continue. I can view my orders over here on the left using the Past Orders button. I have a lot of them, so this takes a long time to come up, but there you can see there's my 18 files that I ordered today. I actually placed this same order a couple days ago. Here you can see the order here. Since the order that I placed today isn't currently ready, I wouldn't be able to show you how to get to that order, but I can go to this available order, and it provides a summary of what I ordered. Here's all my post-processing parameters. You can see I actually ordered a different data set or a different product. It's the 3-kilometer version. But anyway, how to get to the files in my order, they're actually at this link. You can see the download key here at the left-hand side. I'll just click on this link, and these are all the files that I ordered. You'll notice that there were 21 files in the order. Where are they all? There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 files. Well, remember, I post-process these as well, the post-processing I chose was mosaicing, and so it took a lot of those files and it aggregated them into one file. Also, you can see that I selected 2 different, no, I guess one different one product. It's called Corrected Optical Depth Land. But in this particular product, the Motto 43K, this data set actually has 3 different layers inside of it. And these are the optical depth at different I believe there are different particle sizes. And I could go read the documentation to find out what is the difference between layer 1, layer 2, layer 3 inside of this 3-dimensional data set here. And then you can also see that I selected 2 different data sets, one called corrected optical depth land and the other one called corrected optical depth land wave 2. And again, you can go read the user guides to find out what the differences between those are. Anyway, I'm going to download it. You'll see that this page does have the a similar feature where you can download multiple files at the same time. If I select them and then hit the download all button, sort of a similar interface. If I hit the download files, it will just start downloading them for me. This one, I believe you need to answer the yes to where you want to save it each time. So again, it's not quite as convenient as the view data version of the tool. I'm going to deselect them and I'm just going to download this one right here as an example. And instead of downloading, I'm just going to open it to show you what it looked like. So you remember I drew that box around sort of the southern Canada, central northern US, and here it is. And you can see that it's all aggregated. I don't have separate individual swaths. And if I wanted to, this doesn't look like a very interesting picture, but the data are actually there. It just is, it's sort of hidden because of the way the data are spread across the color spectrum. So I'm going to stretch. You can see most of the tool is showing the data in the central area here, but you can see most of the data is down here. So if I select that, let's see, and maybe we can adjust it a little bit to get some of that showing up. I don't know how well you can see it on your screens, but you can see the aerosols here, these light gray areas spreading across, and this looks very similar to what you saw with the view data view that we saw earlier. The other thing that Find Data allows you to do is to search by file name. So if I know a file name to search for, and there was a list of them shown in the download section, I could just type in the file name here. I forgot the, and it also allow wildcards. Let's see. Oh, sorry. And I have to pick the archive set. Yeah, collection. Yeah. Okay. And since I selected everything, all the time ranges, you can see I got quite a few files here. I could have put in something that would have narrowed down my search there if I wanted to. I can also pick up saved searches. So I performed this search earlier. It's actually the search that provided the files in the order that you saw. So I can search for them. Okay. I actually did try this and it did work. So there's something I probably need that blank. Let's try that one more time. Don't want that, sorry. Okay, there it is. It's actually done it, even though it's showing this page. And if I go to the files page, these are all the files that got ordered. Yeah, there's a whole lot of functions. You can see how I've forgotten how some of them work. If you get stuck, please contact us via user support. If you go to the About LAADS menu, there's a contact us page. Or down at the bottom of all our pages in the footer, there's also a contact us link. And these are all the different ways you can reach us. There are lots of things that are going on in LAADS. You've seen quite a bit of stuff via Atmar, demonstration of view data and my demonstration of find data. So please ask questions. It looks like I ran a little bit long here. We will stick around for 15 minutes or so to answer questions. But please reach out to us via the contact addresses if you run into difficulties using the tool. Thanks very much, and we'll open the floor to questions now.
Okay, thank you very much, Greg. And at this point, what we will do is I am going to open up the final optional polls, but we'll move directly into the Q&A since we are a little bit short on time here. So if you could just give me 1 second here and I'll open up the final polls. I'll leave them open for 10 minutes past the 3:15 cutoff. Alrighty, let me move back to, there were a few questions that were asked within the chat. Some of them were answered, but let me go ahead and take a look at these here. Okay, so one of the questions, so I'm going to address those that were not answered in part within the chat. We'll tackle those first, and then we'll move on to the Q&A panel. So the first question is, you have to give me a second here. Okay, so one of the questions that was asked was whether or not you can create an archive of your .files so that you're only downloading one file. And I'm not sure if there's enough information here for you to answer that, or Eric, if you wanted to provide further clarification, that would be great.
This is Greg. I think I can provide several different answers to that.
Okay.
So one is that you can order the file directly. For example, When I showed post-processing, you don't have to select post-processing if you don't want to. You can still order the file. In that case, it will be staged for you in a location in the orders directory, which you can then pick up. And since you only selected one file to order, that one file will show up in your orders directory and you can just download it from there. You will still get the email that tells you when the order is staged. It only takes a few seconds. Well, it might take up to a minute or so, because the software the back-end software that handles the ordering only runs once every 30 seconds or a minute when it checks to see if anything new is there. So it might take a minute or so to show up, but once it's there, you can download it directly, just like I downloaded my post-processing order. The order information will also show up in your email, and you just click on the link in the email and you can order from there.
Okay, thank you, Greg. The next question is, are there any Modis Level 3 over the ocean angstrom exponent data products available from LAADS?
Yeah, that's a data question. We're sort of on the developer end, so we're not that familiar with the 1,000 data products that we have.
And I do think that there are, I was looking at an Earth Data Forum response, I think from this same user, that there are two products that are available through LAADS, but I can certainly follow up offline with this user as well.
Yeah, we have lots of folks who know the data inside out, but I'm not one of them. So yeah, we'll have to take that and answer offline.
Okay, very good.
Jennifer, as far as I understand it, it looks like there's just the Terra Modis and Aqua Modis level 2 angstrom on there, as far as I can tell.
Okay, thank you.
So just not level 3.
Okay, thank you. And the next question is whether or not you can order your data in a CSV or XLS format.
Currently, no. We are working to add different formats to the to our list of formatting tools, but right now the only format we support is the original format the data came in, which is either HDF4 or in some of the newer collections, HDF5 or NetCDF, or GeoTIFF. But we are working to add new formatters in. I don't have a timeline for that though. The formatting tools take a while, or can take a while. Sorry, I don't have a timeline for that.
Okay, thank you, Greg. The next question, I just want to confirm, I believe the answer is yes, but does view data use the Gibbs image database?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. And let's see here, scrolling down to some of the other questions here. Okay, many people asked about receiving a recording of the session in the PowerPoint. Yes, I will follow up with all registrants and send you both a link to the recording as well as a link to the presentation slide deck. And let me just go through here. Okay. Okay, so one of the questions was I had ordered, and I'm hoping this is something that can be answered within the framework of this webinar, but if not, we'll have to follow up offline. I had ordered the Modis Aqua Level 2 aerosol optical depth data using the Find Data portal, and thereafter tried to download the same using the wget command, but unfortunately all the time I get an error, 504 gateway times out. How can this user resolve that?
Ouch. Yes. So right now our site is really busy, and the 504 errors are a result of busyness. So what happens is your request requires a search through our database to find your particular order and get your file information. And if lots of other people are hitting the site at the same time, when you go to download the data, if it takes longer than a minute for your request to be found or to be processed, then the server will time out. And even though we actually do wind up finding the data, you will get the 504s. We are working to speed that up. We actually had an implementation that addressed that, but the implementation had a memory leak, and so we're still doing some debugging on that. So apologies for that. We are working on it. But yes, you expect to get 504s, and sometimes you can set things up so that you can get it to retry after a few seconds. I've had some people retry as many as 10 or 15 times before they were finally able to get download their files. So again, apologies, but yeah, it's we're a busy service, and we're not fast enough anymore.
Okay, well, thank you, Greg. And I'm not sure if either Atmar or Greg, you can provide further detail to this next question. It might just be that we need to follow up offline. Which and how much of the LAADS data are on cloud providers like AWS? And if not yet, is there any estimated timeline to migrate over to the AWS?
So yes and yes, there are plans. Yes, there are data, but right now we are in the first steps of providing a proof of concept for that. So I suspect you won't see tons of LAADS data for probably till I think we're saying this fall. It just takes, we've got over 10 petabytes of data. It takes a while to load it all up into Amazon Cloud. So we'll be, as that data become available, we'll be putting up posts on our banner, the LAADS banner, to let you know when things start becoming available. We are working on it. There are plans to move the entire archive up there. But again, 10 petabytes of data is a pretty heavy lift, and it doesn't go very fast. So expect to start seeing information like that in the fall.
Okay, thank you, Greg. The next question is it possible to access the Sentinel-3 methane data product through the LAADS DAAC? And maybe that's a question we need to address separately.
We do provide some Sentinel data. We provide the SLSTR and OCLI data. Those are the ocean and the land.
Yes.
But LAADS DAAC does not provide the methane products.
Okay. The next question is, how can we save the images? So I'm assuming this is related to the those steps within your live demonstrations where you had gone through a series of browse images as you were focusing on your use case. If that is not correct, if the user could add more detail, that would be useful.
I think I can answer this one. If you're referring to the view data portion in the bottom near the timeline, there's the screenshot. And all it is that when you open that box, you download it in the format that you want, and then you can save it to your computer or on your cloud, however you save it.
Okay, thank you.
Also, yeah, and also for find data, you'll notice that, or you'll remember that I showed a swath image. That image is actually a file that's in our system, and you can download that file. You'll have to search for it in the archive, but you'll know its file name because it tells you, and so you can go find that file and download it directly. It's probably a PNG or a JPEG file.
Okay, thank you. So one of the questions was with respect to access to a Python download script in terms of accessing the data. And forgive me, because apparently someone else is looking at the questions concurrently, and it's making me, I'm losing my place where I am here. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. Why don't we move on to another question while I am trying to find that. So if everybody could, in terms of panelists, if you could just let me just focus on the questions in the Q&A right now, that will prevent them from skipping all over the place. Okay, so the next question is, let's see, and maybe it's seeking confirmation. LAADS created a .text data related to Sentinel-3 zip data indicating the time and geographical limits of each of the images. For example, and this person included a link back to the archive, and this was the Sentinel 3A SL1 dataset. Oh gosh, not sure why this is happening. Is someone else clicking on the questions? If you could refrain from that right now, that would be very helpful because I'm losing my place here. It's just skipping around. Okay, currently LAADS provides a folder containing daily text or CSV files. I guess it's more of a information here, indicating the lat and longitude limits for each of the zip files as geo, meta, modus, and virs data. I guess there's a question at the end of this, so I'm not sure what the actual question is, or if it's to provide more information for in response to a previous questions.
Yeah, I think I know what's going on here. So yes, we do provide CSV files for modus and virs that that define the corner points of the swaths for each 5-minute granule. Currently, we do not have that for for Sentinel. And we do not have it for AVHRR. That's an interesting thing, though. We do have that information in our database, so we probably could generate a text or CSV file with that same information for those satellites as well. We'll add that to our feature list.
Well, that sounds great. Thank you so much, Greg. The next question is there a WMS service available that can be consumed externally? If yes, under what conditions?
So we do not have a WMS service for LAADS. I believe that Earth Data might provide a WMS service with the Worldview application.
Yes, that is correct.
So you might be able to use that tool, but currently no the LAADS DAAC does not support that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and that is something
apologies.
that we've been asked to provide, but that's off in the future.
Okay, thank you, Greg. The next question is, do you have a list of use cases or best practice examples? I guess that refers to in terms of using both the view data and the find data. Is that correct? Let's see here. I can find the previous question.
Currently, I'll say no.
Okay.
That you know, there we have, like I said, 1,000 products and 20 years worth of data, and we do get questions from users about interesting things that they're doing, but we don't have them written down. So maybe that's something we can work on as part of our communications outreach.
Well, thank you very much, Greg. And I think at this point we have reached the extended Q&A period. So what I will do is I will actually leave the virtual space open for another 10 minutes or so. I'm going to scan back through the chat and also through the Q&A. And if there are some questions I can address, I will. If not, rest assured that our speakers will receive the Q&A and also the chat log, so they can certainly follow up with you offline if we did not get to your question today. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us, and thanks to all three of our speakers. We appreciate your time this afternoon, and we especially appreciate our participants' feedback on those optional final polls. So thank you so much. And at this point, we will log off from the audio component, but I will leave the virtual meeting space open. So if you think of something, please feel free to jot that down. And that would be it for today. Our next webinar will be held on May 4th, and we'll focus on cloud-based services at the Global Hydrometeorology DAAC. And there is an announcement up. You can find that at earthdata.nasa.gov if you kind of scroll down a bit into the feature grid. So thank you so much, everybody. And if there are no comments from our speakers, we will log off from this afternoon's webinar, at least from an audio perspective. All right, thanks so much, everybody. We hope to see you at an upcoming webinar. Take care now. Okay, goodbye.